Alright guys, it's the next day. I want to have it actually a fairly nice day out here. It's earlier in the morning. It's a bit dampish. It's cool. It's not terrible. It may, if the sun will go ahead and come the rest of the way out, get pretty warm today. So anyway, here's what happened yesterday. One reason it ended quick, my phone went dead. Phone's always going dead. But you know, I got to this point on this, that's all I done. So today I'm going to go ahead and DA this, and I may go ahead and fill it. We'll see. I said it ended yesterday. I think I noted on the video, it's uploading right now, is I had done some more, which I did. I shade that a little bit. I got this all taken care of. I got this welded back on here, and I ground the welds, and you guys didn't get to see my welds beforehand because some things just can't unsee. And so what I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to go to town here a little bit, but before I go to town, I'm going to sand this though with a DA, sand most of this back off. There's a lot of runs. Actually, it's not that bad when I look at it today, but it was cold yesterday, and it was 42, 43 degrees. Plus I had a can of this black primer that was also out in the shed, so it was 40 some degrees. And of course, you guys know how when it's cold, how paint does, it runs something fierce. I had a lot of sags and runs in that, but like I say, it looks pretty good now. I don't really see them. Maybe a little few down here. But right now, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm mixed on pulling it, how well it pulled this. It pulled it out some, but that's hard to pull. I need one of those things that point and pulls, not with a hammer, but pulls the whole thing. But I don't have it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Just as I said in the video about that you can cut those studs off. I only put like 3 of them on here, on this spot here. And this one actually popped off while I was doing it and left a hole. The other 2 I cut and ground them, and you can't even tell where they wore. So that's the way to do it. This is still a little back. I'm not going to get the thing to show you. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Bondo to pull that forward. It's very, very small, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch. It's really a thin spot. Plus, like I say, this all needs filled anyway. So so this is, like I say, welded back on like it needs to be. Car is up on jack stand, as you can see. No tire on this side, and it's been that way all night. So I'm going to get this back on. I just sprayed this on to keep the metal from flash rusting. It's the only purpose I even did it. So I'm going to take the DA, resand all of this. A little bit of a hump there, but I think this will all should. I'm going to try to run a little Bondo glass on these spots, like where those patches are welded in. So I kind of dressed them up, and I re-welded some spots on them. I had made mention of these. You can see these are not fully welded. They don't look fully welded, because I don't think I ever mentioned on the video, but this is welded on the back side too. I mentioned that at one time. And so when you see those little spots there, it's not that it's not welded. It is, because it's like I say, it's been welded on both sides. So anyway, it's good and solid welded. So the wheel well looks pretty good. It'll have to have a little cleaning, but because I'm going to set in here in a minute now and DA this. So hopefully next time you'll see it, I'll at least have that done. And I may have a little filler on there. If I do, it's and then I'm going to go to town because it'll probably take forever to dry. But get the Bondo glass on here as a filler and get these low spots filled, which aren't terribly low, and then get it sanded and get it rough shaped in there. And then I'll use some good, I have some good filler, smooth stuff. I'll do this top coat on this, and I'll do that up there. That don't need no Bondo glass. That just needs a little bit of filler. It's such a thin space. But anyway, so I'm gonna get on it. I'll be back. All right, guys, I got that. That was hard to strip off of there. That, I don't know, I have had it kind of thick, you know, it had runs in it. I don't know how dry it was. I did it yesterday, obviously, and it's been cold, but I got most of it back off. I think I got enough. The old Harbor Freight DA sander started smoking just a minute ago, so it may be finished. I have to get me another DA, but it is what it is. So I'm going to attempt, I don't know, it's a little chilly out here. It's not a terrible day, as you guys can see. It's overcast, but the sun had come out, it'd really be nice out. But I'm going to attempt to run some filler on that. I'm going to use some Bondo glass on this, and mostly it'll be for spots like this, and even right in here where these welds are. So I can fill those welds, cover those welds. I'm going to also obviously build this corner up. And then a lot of the Bondo work is going to be just to define these edges where they're not real defined. I don't know, I can't say for sure that this is going to look like exactly like a factory 64 Comet quarter panel when I'm done. But then again, I don't care. I'm not trying to sell my car to anybody. I'm not trying to make a, you know, a concourse restoration. It's just a car to drive. It'll look good. Don't misunderstand me. I intend for it to look good when I'm finished, but it may not be exactly 64 Comet. I don't have one to go off of, so I just have to go off what I think it's supposed to look like in my head and what I've already done. I think the shape is correct because I made this piece off of the best quarter panel that I had. I made a pattern, laid it up on and cut it out of poster board, and then I cut it, this piece, like I said, out of 18 gauge steel. And of course, obviously it was flat, and I was able to, of course, bend it back to fit around these spots. So it's shaped right, it's shaped correctly, don't misunderstand me. However, I think right here on the car, this actually fades into the body. It's not a real distinct line there like I've got here. Same thing back here. This one I think smooths out and just kind of fades into the body as well. Mine's going to do something similar to that. So if it's that, that's what mine's going to look like. So I got that sanded up there. Got the bed liner sanded off of it, and I've got it. It looks pretty good. Now it's not going to get any Bondo glass on it. It's just going to get regular, you know, that poly, whatever that is, that good stuff that I bought at O'Reilly's. But the polyester filler, it'll just get a thin skim on that. So first off, I'm going to try to use the Bondo glass. I'm working on the car I haven't really done anything to the other quarter because the way the weather is, I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. So I'll do this one, and then I'll get over on the other side. But I want to get the tire back on the car. I don't like the car sitting here immobile like this. I know that sounds weird, but I'm always worried that now that it's as far along as it is, if there was an emergency situation, I don't know what that would be. Forest fire, I don't know. I'd like to be able to get the car out of here. So, and with it running and everything, I hate to have it up on this, so I'll get the tire back on it. But I need to probably pull a tail light out. I haven't done that yet. One thing I did discover, you'd think I would discover this, I think I would remember this, but you know, it was 40 years ago. I did do some body work on it right there. You know, I'm leaving it. I cut it out here and pulled this dent out just a little bit. There's obviously a little dent right there that I filled 40 years ago. You know, it's still in there good and tight, so I just sanded it. I think there was a crease right across here where they'd run the car up against something, the former owner, 40 years ago. And I filled that. I think I sanded it out and then filled it. So that's 40-year-old Bondo. It looks pretty good. And it's probably not quite 40 years old, but 38 years old Bondo. So it's in there tight. It's not rusty. It's not bubbling. It's not popping. Now maybe after I finish. So it's probably just going to get skimmed over. It's a little, got some air pock bubbles in it. But I don't know, maybe Bondo was made better in 1979, 1980. But it looks good on there. I mean, part of it probably made it because it's never painted, so it never trapped any, it's able to breathe. I don't know. But it looks good, and it's tight, and So it'll probably just get, when I do the polyglass, it'll probably just get skimmed over and smoothed out. People probably say, you ought to grind that all out and replace it. Well, I'm not going to. I did it here. We'll do an experiment. We'll see how long this lasts. It's only been 40 years. I may not see another 40. Probably won't. And so I may, I don't know, be in my 90s. But probably won't be driving at that time. I don't know. Who can tell? My grandpa drove all the way up. Maybe he shouldn't have been. But my grandpa died, he was 92. And he drove up to within, I don't know, a few years before he died, but he still had good mental facilities and everything. And I don't know, like I say, again, he could drive it, maybe he shouldn't have been. Hopefully I'll know the day that I shouldn't be. But I do have, you guys won't be able to see it, right here where this weld is, it bows up, so that'll get filled and straightened out right there. Hate that my DA's want to give up on me right now. Usually those kind of things I have spares, but I don't have a spare DA sander. So I may be shopping around for one of those. Maybe I'll find a little bit better one than a Harbor Freight one. That one though, I've used it a lot, and it's done a lot. I used it on this car a lot. I also used it on the house a lot, so it's not like it was a terrible purchase by any means for probably what I paid for it. But just, I want to do work right now, and I don't like it burning up, so I may go ahead and get one on order. Let me just order one, and I'll show you this if I can get the Bondo on there. It may be next year before it dries, but we'll see. I'm trying not to put on too thick. Now remember, the Bondo glass it's fiberglass reinforced Bondo, and it's going on these low spots, which these need to be low spots. They need to be filled over, in my opinion. I may be wrong, but some of these feel a little humped up like these, but I can't really tap them back. I tapped them back a little bit with a hammer, but I can't get a dolly on the back side. That's down behind the wheel well, the inner one. So there's impossible to get down in there. So I tapped it back a little bit, but I think this needs filled anyway. Some of this needs filled anyway. I'll blend it all in. It'll look fine. I'm not too worried. I'm kind of picky and, like I say, a bit OCD. If you guys know me. So it'll look good by the time I'm done. I'll keep working on it until it looks good. So, but I want it to look good and I want it to last at least a while. So anyway, I will show you when I get that on there. I don't know what it's going to look like. This is pretty cold. It's not terrible. Guys got warmed up a little bit by the sander, but I sanded and I ground it some, and this actually looks really good. Just needs just a little bit of filler on it just to define this corner and to fill these pits. Or I should have welded it better. If I had been a belter welder, if I had TIG weld and all that kind of stuff, this would probably be a darn good weld. I'm not saying I can't TIG weld. I've never done it. I don't have a TIG welder. But, you know, one day I'll have one when I don't need it no more. And we'll see how I do. Just using the old Harbor Freight welder on this, it's not too bad. I didn't burn, this I actually did really good, and I didn't burn a lot of holes. But I completely cut the rust out. You know, it's when you get close to rusty spots it likes to burn through. I don't know if I can show you guys. This is the, up here close. There's one spot where stud was. That was one I had to weld up. And the other one's back here, and you can't even tell where it was. So, like I say, this one, it popped it out with a slide hammer. Popped a hole, so I had to weld that hole up. So, and the others I cut them off with the cutoff wheel and ground them down, and they can't see them. I'm debating whether it was worth doing. I'll show you guys later. It's still cut back some, but that is really, really hard to pull. I think I already said that. I've been filming this over 2 days, so. But anyway, this will probably have a little Bondo to pull it out. I don't know. We'll see. To make it even. It's just barely back. I mean, I bet there's not a It's not. I know it's not an eighth of an inch back. It's between an eighth and a 16th of an inch back, so it'd be barely any Bondo. But we'll see. So let me get that mixing that up, and I'll put it on there. Now I'm going to go to town, and got to make a supply run. But too bad I don't have a decent place to buy a new DA. Our little town, I live in town, 3,300 people, and if I bought that local, well, I'd have to pay an arm and a leg for it, and I'm not about to do that. I mean, I like to support local people, don't misunderstand me, but I'd have to buy probably at the local lumber yard, and I'd have to buy a DeWalt, so I'm not opposed to DeWalt. I don't want to pay the DeWalt price, so there's not a lot of other places to buy anything in town. We've got O'Reilly's, and I don't know if O'Reilly's, I assume it has stuff like that. Probably more than I want to pay for it. We got a lumber yard that's a Meeks, so it's semi-local. And there's a little hardware store that's local. And that's about it. There's not no chains at all, really. O'Reilly's obviously a chain. There's also another parts store, which I go to a lot, that's just a local owned one. But they're the ones that let me go in back so I can find my own stuff. So anyway, so I'm going to fill this one. Like I said, I believe this line here flows into the body. I don't know. Mine's going to. It's going to look good. Don't worry. And, I mean, this is all not rusty. It's all been patched. All the rust holes have been patched out. And all the rust has been cut. So just a little Bondo to smooth it doesn't bother me. So you may not want your car that way. I don't care how mine is, I guess, in that sense. As long as it looks good and it lasts, I'm okay with it, Bondo being on there. So again, I'm not trying to rip anybody off. It's my car. So that's a great thing. Only me has to be satisfied. So and I don't have to worry about, I'm not selling the car, never intend to sell a car. Won't ever sell a car. I don't know what's going to happen to make me. And so, I don't know what's going to eventually happen to it. But the next person might be griping me and cursing me in my grave. But that's all right. I don't care. But anyhow, I'll get on that. So I'll talk to you guys here in a minute, hopefully. All right, guys. First cut. My hands got all over them. I may have been a little overzealous on the hardener. I thought I'd add a little extra. It's already up to almost hard enough to run cheese grater on it. But I'm getting ready to run to town, so I'm not going to be here to do that. I have to find a stupid cheese grater anyway. Get this stuff scrubbed off my hands. But I already used a cutting knife and cut it off right there. So it's at least an initial coat, I guess. And a lot of that, you all know, get cut off of there. It's just to fill some of the deeper spots, like the welds and stuff. So I think it'll be all right. I wish I hadn't put quite so much hardener in it. It gave me a lot of working time before it got rubbery. But maybe it'll be dry in less than 6 months. But so the next stage here is going to be I may end up using something like a 40 grit or even 20 grit if I've got some on a block. You know, you got to get that surface cut on that, and it needs to be kind of rough. And it'll probably be hard by the time I get to it. You know, that's always fun. We get that cut down though and start shaping it the way it needs to be shaped, especially the wheel well. And then get her kind of smoothed out, and then probably put a coat of polyester filler on there, smooth it, feather stuff in. Maybe I'll have a warmer day. I can get the window, the B-pillar too, same time. So it's coming along. Might have it before too long, all finished up, at least to the stage where it needs primed. Hopefully I can go epoxy primer on top of all this. I don't know. the cassette. I think I said it anyway. If I didn't, you just kind of ignore me. That stuff right there, that black stuff, really hard to sand off. So I'm gonna probably have to do something like that again, but I may just dust it because I don't want this to rust. But I'm not gonna worry about it right this moment until I get some more of this filler work done. And I don't know. Hopefully it'll look like 64 Comet fender when I'm done. You won't be able to tell I did any work on it. It's my oil boys. Doesn't have to look perfect, but I don't want people to be able to tell I did anything. So, and hopefully I'll have it to that point. I'll give you a wide view of it. Might soon have a decent looking body on the car. You can see it wasn't bad already, but I get this cleaned up. Maybe by tomorrow I can put the coat of polyester on there and get it cleaned up, sand it out, sand it smooth. Get it on the B-pillar up there too, get it smoothed out. Somewhere I've got a palm sander. I don't just have this DA, but I really don't want to go back to using it, so. Excuse me. Still kind of a cough and no, I don't have COVID, but I got allergy issues still going on. So I'll get her done. This was a lot more than I intended to do on this, so it's coming along, and I'm really surprised again that is already getting hard. I figured it'd take forever. Shows you what I know. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later.